Now that Steve Rogers has finally accepted the mantle of Captain America, will he ever make it out of Latveria alive? And about his replacement Colton, is his fate already sealed? Well, let's hop into the pages of Captain America issue number 5 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up more or less directly from where the last issue left off, Steve had donned his old costume and managed to vanquish Dr. Doom, well, for a little bit at least. The crowd is absolutely in shambles, including Doom's own military, who decide to turn their guns on their own people. Luckily, Cap is there to intervene, but also to try and appeal to their better angel, saying that their cruel master is no longer here anymore, and whatever choice they make next, they're going to have to live with for the rest of their lives. And I mean, it certainly makes a lot of sense. Steve was a loyal soldier earlier this morning, but right now he's more conflicted than anyone and ready to break some rules. Now, word comes in from Colton that he's completely lost it, going crazy and ready to take out his rage on the nearby Latverian military barracks. Once again, he keeps up with the refrain of, it has to matter, it all has to mean something. And wow, you know, when I stop and think about it, this is actually a really nice bit of narrative bookending. If you'll recall, this story started with Captain America talking down a soldier going through a breakdown, and now the story is ending in pretty much the exact same way, only on a much bigger scale. Wolf tells Cap where to find the barracks, but even despite all the help that Steve just gave him, he's not exactly in any hurry to help. Steve is still very much a nice guy, though, and tells him to build on all the good work that was done here today, try and win people's hearts and minds, instead of just simply trying to kill his enemies and probably end up being no different than Doom himself. Now, also in this story, we see what became of Colton after he came back from the war and reunited with his peace-loving protester mother. She was overjoyed to see him, but at the same time, their relationship got really awkward after this. She says that she actually gave up protesting at a point when she felt like her son was never going to come home again, and that Colton admits he had only ever went to war because he had in his head a very childish notion that if he just killed enough people, killed the right people, then the world would just somehow magically fix itself, something that we all know isn't true. People, the good, the bad, and the in-between are just that, people. It's the system, the houses of dynamite we build around ourselves. Those are the real problems, but they're much harder to tear down. Captain America grabs a motorcycle and rushes his way over to the army barracks. Along the way, he even manages to find the little girl belonging to the ambassador, who was killed in the last issue. Steve tries to put the girl at ease, saying that everything is going to be alright, only for her to fire back with, yeah, that's what the last guy said too. Unfortunately for Cap, by the time he gets there, he's already too late. In his grief and madness, Colton has slaughtered pretty much the entire base. When Steve tries to ask him why he would do all of this, Colton's response is honestly quite chilling, because we've lost sight of it, lost sight of why we're here. What it's always been about, freedom. These soldiers are denying their people freedom. They use violence and the threat of it to keep them down. They made their choice. And oh man, if that's not the pot calling the kettle, I certainly don't know what is. Now, Captain America, being Captain America, refuses to give up on Colton. He can see that he's hurting, and as such, he wants to try and get him to see sense, even if he has to literally beat said sense into him. Colton gets some pretty good hits in, but if there was ever any question about who the stronger, superior captain was, it's certainly Steve. Though, in a very satisfying twist, it's at that very moment, while Cap is speechifying, Julia Slate of the Howling Commandos ends up sneaking up on both men, with plans of shooting them both in the back to protect General Ross's dark secret. It's right here that Colton, without a second thought, flies into action to pick up the shield and protect Captain America from a bushwhacking. Of course, he's not nearly as good at throwing the shield as Steve is. His doesn't come back. He does manage to take down Slade, however, the extra stress on his body proves to be enough to give him a massive heart attack. Yeah, it seems that whatever version of the super soldier serum they gave Colton, it wasn't nearly as good or pure as the one they gave Steve. With his dying breath, though, he still wants to try and do something that matters. To make all the war and death meaningful, he wants to actually reveal to Captain America the truth about what General Ross was doing in this country and how this whole mission was part of just some regime change scheme. Colton admits that he could never have solved this problem, that he wasn't captain enough, but if anyone could actually do this, it's the OG Star-Spangled Man, Steve. And indeed, Colton's words do cut through Captain America like a knife, so much to the point that when he returns stateside, he actually goes AWOL. General Ross has to bring him back in cuffs, and when he does, Steve says that he's done a lot of wandering, a lot of talking to people, a lot of questioning and soul-searching about whether or not this America that he's woken up in even deserves to be saved, and while there is certainly evidence to say that it shouldn't be, Steve is as always an idealist, saying that America was far from perfect even back during his time. But thankfully, he and Captain America stand for more. They stand for the dream, striving to always be better even when it isn't easy. There are battles worth fighting and people worth fighting for, but from this point forward, Captain America refuses to fight these battles as part of Ross's corrupt military-industrialist machine. And hey, you know what? I hear there's another team out there called the Avengers doing some good work. You'll remember that Iron Man had actually attempted to recruit Captain America back in the first issue, and here at the very end, it's actually Tony Stark who chooses to try and recruit Steve. Why is Tony even here, you might be wondering? Oh, that's the best part. He's overseeing a brand new state-of-the-art heart transplant. Colton will live. Though thankfully with none of that bargain basement super soldier serum coursing through his veins. Now as the comic comes to a close, Captain America moves into the classic Avengers mansion, only to find that when he gets to his room, he has a package waiting for him, a gift from Reed Richards that just so happens to be the Bucky action figure that he had mentioned in his conversation with Mr. Fantastic a few issues back. He talks to the figure saying that the two made a difference in their day, fought for things that mattered, and that Steve will honor his friend by continuing to fight the good fight here and now. And so that was Captain America issue number 5, everybody, and oh man, did Chip Zdarsky finish off his first Cap arc in truly stellar fashion. This one really had it all and really tied together at the end. Not only does it work on its own as a very cool Captain America story, but it also moves the Marvel sliding timescale forward while also acting as the de facto new Captain America origin story for modern times. One that perfectly crystallizes everything that is good and moral and heroic about Steve Rogers, but all reflected through the prism of the last 20-odd years of American foreign policy and history. More than anything, I think I really enjoy how they handled the character of Colton in this story. So many people in the comment sections were so certain that he was either going to become a villain or die, but I just knew from the jump that Zdarsky wasn't going to do that, and that wasn't what this kind of story was about. This is a story that actually has a lot of sympathy for Colton and people like him. Young men who were told tales about becoming heroes, but were ultimately just fed into a massive, cold, uncaring war machine. And while he definitely does a lot of bad things that will probably weigh on his conscience for the rest of his life, the fact that he survives at the end of this story means that he actually has the chance to grow and change and hopefully turn it all around and find his own personal happy ending. And this was ultimately a very happy ending, which is why I give it a well-deserved 9 out of 10. If you've been trade waiting on this story, then you should definitely hop in now. You will not be disappointed. Zdarsky is, as always, in tip-top form. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.